When I say you, let's say worker. Workers get certain permissions by virtue of the role that we have been assigned to. Okay. Right now, can the manager? We said that a single assignment, the example, typical example of a single assignment is manager. Can we have multiple assignments or manager? Can we uncheck that option in the single in the maintain assignable tools? Can we uncheck that option that if there is a requirement I can shift-based organization where workers work in multiple shifts? If you have such a scenario, then yes, you might have the requirement of having multiple managers in the same supervisory organization. Very rare case, but technically possible. Right, and what do we need to do to enable that if you need to have multiple managers in the supervisory organization? We don't create multiple roles, manager 1, manager 2. We don't need to do that. What do we need to do? No, in this page only you have the answer. Not single assignment. That's it in the single assignment. We will say no. Not single? Is it then only you have? You have the option to assign the role to multiple people, multiple positions. Single assignment will stop you from doing that. If a role is marked as single assignment, you can only assign it to one person. I said one position. If it is not marked as single assignment, you can assign it to multiple positions. As simple as that. Right, so all of these configurations are done where? What was the task? We used to create the role. Maintain assignable roles. That was the task that we had used. Correct. Maintain assignable roles. And when we say maintain assignable roles, were we able to see other roles that were already created? But we just ended up doing. I mean, we only saw the role that we are creating. Now, if I want to go back and change the role that I created. Let's say I want to update some of these settings. Hide on view or maybe self-assign or single assignment. I want to update those parameters. What will be the task that I use? We will use the same task again. There is no edit role. There is no create role. There is no find assignable role. There is only this task, maintain assignable roles. Okay, we will go to that. We will go to that role. Let me proxy a slogan. We will go to that role and then we will update the existing roles. Right. That is the only task that we need. Maintain assignable roles. Right. So then what happens after we create the role? You see, is that do we give permissions to the roles? We don't give permissions directly to the security, to the roles. Right. What? Where do we give the permissions? We edit that domain security policies and the business process security policies, correct? That's where we control the permissions. So what gets included in the security policies? Is it the role or is it the security group? The security groups will be included in the security policies. Now we have created a rule. Now that means now, we have to create this link, right? You have to create this link. We have a role already, so now we should create a security group and we should link them together. Then we will assign the permissions to the security group and then we will test it out. Okay, let's do that. So the task to create a security group is create security group. Simple, straightforward. Create security group. And the type of security group is role-based security group, constrained, role-based security group, constraint. And you have to give a name, WW. I think we called it as WW compensation partner. Right. That is what we called it, the role that we created. Okay, so we are creating a role-based security group, constrained. Now you will see two types of security groups in the system. One is a constrained kind of security group and one will be unconstrained kind of security group. Now can anyone tell me what is a constraint? I mean, what does the word constraint mean? There are some restrictions. Absolutely. So what can be the restriction? In a role-based security group, it is like specific permissions to specific organizations. Okay, your access will work. I mean the access that you were given as part of your security group or security permissions. It will work only on the organizations where you have the role. Only on the organizations where you have the road. Example. A manager has access to only the workers that he or she manages, isn't it? Can the manager of sales terminate a worker in the IT department? Doesn't have access. Can a manager of sales terminate an employee in sales? Absolutely. Same thing, right? Because manager is a rule-based constrained security group. The manager has access only to the organization that he manages. And how do we ensure that such a thing happens? To ensure that such a thing happens, we make sure that it is a kind of a constrained security group. A constrained security group will have that option. And what is the constraint? The constraint is the organization where you have the role. That is how what they restricts the access to only the organization where you have the role. Got it. That is the constraint. So when we create a constraint security group, that means that you only have access to the organization where you have been assigned that role. Isn't it? That's what it means. Okay. Oops. I didn't save it. So I have to do edit security group. www. Compensation partner. Okay, so I was in this particular screen. Correct. Now, again, I will keep going back to that slide of ours. So what is the role-based security group associated with? On one hand, it is associated with the role and on the other hand, it is given certain permissions in the security policies, right? So let's go back to our this. So you see here, I have to mention the role. Correct. I have to mention the role that this security group will be associated with. Typically, and it's a recommendation and also a best practice that we keep the name of the security group and the assignable role as the same. It is recommended. Not a requirement, but it is recommended. Right, so that it is easy for you to understand which role relates to which security group. Okay, so that you can understand. So here you see, we have named it as the WW compensation partner. Let me just remove the underscore and keep it like this. W compensation partner is the name of the security group, and WW compensation partner is also the name of the assignable role that it is associated with. Now here are some options that we have: access rights to organizations and access rights to multiple job workers. Let's focus on this one, access rights to organization.